Hello, sixth grade. I wanted to hop on here and read something to you that would have been a book that I read to you on the last day of school. However, we won't be seeing each other in person as I typically would have planned. If you remember from the beginning of school, the first day of school, I read you the book called First Day Jitters. And if you remember, there's the character Sarah in there who, through most of the story, we believed to be a student who was very nervous to go to a new school. And in the end, we find out that she's the teacher, and she was nervous about starting to teach at a new school. So I'm going to read to you The Last Day Blues. We have the same character here, Sarah. So we'll see if this has a similar theme, and we'll see what happens. Last Day Blues, last day of sixth grade. Last Day Blues. On the Monday morning before the Friday that was the last day of school, Mrs. Hartwell took attendance. She sighed as she called out the last name. "I'm going to miss all of you," she said. The kids nodded in agreement. "I'm going to miss my friends," said Shannon. "I'm going to miss Daisy," said Dan. "I'm going to miss chocolate milk and pizza for lunch," said Joe. Daisy seems to be their class pet snake. Everyone felt a little bit blue thinking about the last day of school, even Daisy. That afternoon, during recess, the students talked as they hung out on the jungle gym. "Mrs. Hartwell said she's going to miss us," said Alexandria, swinging from a bar. "We should get a present to cheer her up," said Eddie, hanging upside down by his knees. "I could give her the rest of my sandwich. It's my mom's bologna special," said Josh. "Or a coffee cup. Or a new pen, the kind with feathers and beads." The students thought and thought, but couldn't come up with one single idea that they all agreed on. "We'll think of something tomorrow," Eddie assured everyone as they lined up at the drinking fountain. You can kind of see here, they depict her having pretty horrible lunch. On the Tuesday before the Friday that was the last day of school, Mrs. Hartwell read the final page of their last read-aloud book. "I'm going to miss circle time," said Mrs. Hartwell. "I'm going to miss science," said Emily. "I'm going to miss seeing Mrs. Hartwell wearing her safety goggles during science," said Jack, giggling. And so before they got too sad, Mrs. Hartwell put on her safety goggles one last time, just for fun. "We definitely needed to cheer Mrs. Hartwell up," said Andy during recess as he jumped out of a swing. "Any ideas about a present?" Eddie asked. "Nope," they all answered back. On the Wednesday before the Friday that was the last day of school, Mrs. Hartwell brought in her super-duper sugar cookies with extra frosting. "I'm going to miss snack time, but I can't wait for barbecues by the pool," said Jack. "I'm going to miss recess, but I can't wait to play hide and seek outside after dinner," said Alexandria. "I'll miss school, but I can't wait for summer vacation," said Josh. The class discussed their summer plans and drowned their last day blues with another round of milk and sugar cookies. Sorry. Keep going. "I don't know whether to be happy or sad today," Andy said the minute they all had arrived at the jungle gym. "Mrs. Hartwell is sad," said Olivia. "She probably doesn't want the year to end." "While we're swimming, she'll be reading her old lesson plan," said Walker. "And while we're playing, she'll be trying to remember the fun times we had this year," said Dan. Shows her very sad. And that's when the idea zip-zapped and zinged through Eddie's brain. "I know exactly what will cheer her up," Eddie said, jumping down from the jungle gym. The class agreed it was perfect. On the Thursday before the Friday that was the last day of school, Eddie raised his hand right after Mrs. Hartwell started language arts. "We need some privacy, please," he said. And so Mrs. Hartwell took down bulletin boards with her back to the class. She never even peeked. Well, only once. On the morning of the Friday that was the Friday that was the last day of school, the students dashed into the classroom. They snapped open the shades for the very last time. They did their chores for the very last time. They fed Daisy for the very last time. And as soon as the bell rang, they couldn't wait for Mrs. Hartwell to see her present for the very first time. And so they show her there that they made her a giant card. And I'll read the card. The last day of school makes us so blue. We'll miss recess and pizza and reading too. We'll miss Daisy and cookies and friendships true. Snack time and science and learning new. We'll miss spelling bees for our test review and groundhogs that play peekaboo. The year's been great, a big wahoo! There are many things to miss, it's true, but mostly what we'll miss is you. Very sweet. This is my favorite page. Later on during recess, Eddie said, I think Mrs. Hartwell liked her present. I just hope it helps, Margaret said. Poor Mrs. Hartwell, they all said sadly as they pictured their final goodbye. Teachers must hate the last day of school. Very good artwork here, depicting students' perspective of what a teacher's last day of school is like. And then it was time. The bell rang. Goodbye, the students called as they rushed out the door. Goodbye, Mrs. Hartwell called after them. And then she returned to her empty classroom. It's just you and me, Daisy, she said. I'm sure going to miss them this summer. But I can't wait for summer vacation. You see all the teachers having a party. And then the last page is just images of what looks like Mrs. Hartwell's plans for the summer. Sleeping in that hammock looks pretty comfortable. So I do share both sides of the perspective of the Last Day Blues. I am very sad that sixth grade is ending for you guys, but please know that I'm always here if you ever want to come back and visit, and that, you know, I'm here for help as well if you need help with anything as you move on to seventh grade. Hope you enjoyed the story.